We're coming back with a conversation, Sister Joya, on why she said Detroit was like a third world. You was talking about it's being taken over by NGOs. Go into that. It's recording already.
I'm speaking in terms of the infrastructure in Detroit. It's bad. Even before the big earthquake hit Haiti, scholars knew and people knew that the infrastructure was poor because of the lack of resources. They had poor quality cement. And I'm seeing the same thing. Detroit, we have the same crummy old streets, crummy old freeways, broke down institutions that are dissolving, and they're being taken. Everything's being privatized. That's what I mean by the non-governmental organizations having a stronghold here, like they were lined up to colonize Haiti after the earthquake hit.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So you talking about the poverty, the closing Detroit public schools.
Absolutely. Buildings that need to be torn down so that new structures can be erected.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about the blight, the depression, the oppression that's currently manifesting in the city. But they're also, seeds of new growth. I'm not counting Detroit out by any means. I have more perspective on Detroit because I left there and can look at it. When you in the middle of something, you don't really have much perspective on what's going on. You're in a state of survival and reactionary.
You know what me and this guy, Joe Scrotum, was talking about while we was painting that house. But when we was riding over, what street is that? West Chicago and Dexter.
Yeah, that's my old hood.
Right. But it's just totally shreds now. It's like a ghost town. But what he was saying was back in the day, all the pimps and drug dealers lived there. And I was like, see? And that's the karma. Niggas living off that blood money. And now it ain't nothing. The dudes who own the buildings ain't got nothing, and neither do the residents because they was sucking up all that blood money. But let's move on to relationships, which is a part of Black Power. You get strong relationships, you're gonna get a strong people. So, what is the 5 mistakes that most men make when dealing with a woman?
Wow, you are better fit to answer that question because you have more experience.
5 mistakes that women make dealing with a man. I would think you had the experience because you've dealt with men who've made great errors that made you be like,
Okay, I will venture and answer the question. Maybe not listening to a woman's intuition is a big mistake because that's a form of trust when you can take somebody's word, reason, rationalize where they're coming from and act on it. If a woman feels like a man is not listening, she's not going to stay interested.
That's mistake 1.
Okay.
What's another mistake that the brothers have made with his sister Joya and her friends?
Okay, I can speak with some ethos in that area. Well, my 2 good friends are in relationships right now, and the mistake that both of their significant other is making right now is financial issues, not being upfront about expectations before you decide to go into a serious mode in the relationship. People have expectations, and when they have expectations like that, there's going to be some disappointment, and that's something that they're experiencing now. So not making good financial decisions when you're in a serious relationship with someone can kill it,
Right.
So communication, finances, of course, taking each other for granted. The man taking the woman for granted, thinking, oh, I can do this because I know, she's going to hold it down on that side. Or taking each other for granted. If we did less of that, we'd have longer, stronger relationships.
Right.
That's 3. I tend to think positive. I can't think of 2 more mistakes that a man could make.
Wow. What do you think is the mistakes that women make dealing with men?
Being presumptuous a lot of times, thinking you know the person when you really don't, or pretending, not being real. in the relationship, having your what do you call that? Your ambassador show up. This is not really you. It's you physically, but it's not. It's not the real you. It's who you want, who you think that person wants you to be, and a person can only keep that up for so long. I hate to digress, but I need to take this call.
Well, I'll talk about some mistakes that a lot of people make. And y'all gotta excuse the eye. My guy's son poked me in the eyeball with a stick the other day. But a mistake that women most definitely make is not really being understanding, feeling like they don't have no responsibility. You know what I'm saying? I see that a lot. Another mistake both parties make is comparison. You can't compare your individual relationship with somebody else's individual relationship. That's stepping outside of your relationship trying to be like somebody else. You know, everybody's situation is unique. You know, so I can't be calling my old lady talking about some, well, you know, Vern Vu's old lady do this, and that.
Oh no, she don't want to hear that.
And no, I mean, women do that too. They be like, well, so-and-so man done did this, and this.
That is what I call an act of desperation.
I call it compare and contrast. You can't compare and contrast your relationships. And that's one thing that I know for certain. It's bad business. Mm-hmm. Nobody want to be compared to nobody else. Now, next question. What is your thoughts on arranged marriages?
Wow.
Bow.
Where are you getting this stuff from? Okay. Well,
me and your sister had a conversation about arranged marriages one day.
Okay.
And we didn't agree necessarily on it, but
and we probably ain't gonna agree.
But
I'm
want to know what you think.
Now I come from a family of 3 girls. I have 3 daughters. Mm-hmm. Of course, I want to have some say so when it comes to them choosing their life mate. You know, mm-hmm. I've been married more than once, and if my parents had taken more of a role in my, I don't want to say decision making, because I didn't want them to choose for me, but participating in the whole thing, I think I would have made less mistakes, in my walk.
Right.
So I would love to choose for my children, or to suggest and have them choose. I think I can help them make a wise decision. Because if they're anything like me, and I'm sure they're going to be like me, they're not going to want me to tell them who they can deal with and who they can't deal with. I'm just going to, first of all, as a mother, set an example. Secondly, give them advice and guidance and direction. Well, now, a forced arranged marriage, I think that's psychotic.
See, but we got to always remember, we've been taught that arranged marriages, it ain't no choice. And let me just steal the camera for a minute. A lot of times, we hear about the Arabs' arranged marriages or whatnot, where it's like, we'll kill you if you don't marry this.
Your cousin.
Right. But I didn't talk to people who come from arranged marriage cultures. I had to actually do an interview on a guy for a school project from India. And he blatantly said, if you don't like the person, you don't have to marry him. Mm-hmm. And in Dr. Ben's book, We the Black Jews, they had arranged marriages in there, but the people had a choice. The 2 people, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, if they just bring you somebody who you just don't get along with, you could always say, I'm good.
Right. So, but marriage is more than just 2 people coming together.
Right.
It's 2 families, 2 empires.
Exactly. And that's why I'm all for arranged marriages. And in the sense of optioned arranged marriages.
Yeah.
Not necessarily like, well, this is this and that's the end of it. But arranged marriages, because at the same time, I mean, imagine if I was to pick my wife at the time where I was supposed to really be with a counterpart, which is probably about 15 to 16. Wow. Naturally. I mean, think about it. People get initiated at 12, 13, and 14 because we start being able to procreate and we start having those desires. In the civilized
more than that,
wars.
We reach maturity.
Right, around those times. So we taught to be men and women that's able to stand on our own. Only in the Western cultures do they try to stagnate procreation and say, wait till you're 21. But I'm saying, imagine if we went into that mentality between the ages of 14 to 23. Like, I'm gonna pick somebody. We still looking at she got a fat ass, or
I
some girls be
mean,
saying, oh, he got wavy hair. Is he cute?
oh, see, you don't need, if
I'm
you're
just
still
saying.
there, if a person is still there, they don't need to get married. They need to first of all find out who they are, whose they are, so
Yeah.
that they can have some direction in life.
But I'm just saying though, and we still get caught up in thrill, excitement with just enjoying somebody, and them sparks do diminish.
Wow.
Somebody is more likely that's 40 or 50. Your parent that does know you be like, these are the things that's most important. But I take into consideration that my child is into this, this, and this, and get with somebody else's parents like, oh, they also have common interests. To say, why don't we let them date? You know what I'm saying? Or let them court each other for a while and see if they like each other. If they do, let's adjust. You know what I'm saying? But that's why I'm with arranged marriages.
Well, and just to piggyback off of that, my first marriage, I got married, I was 20 years old. And what we both did before we got married and had this engagement announcement, we went to like a rites of passage that was initiated by some of the elders of the community, and they talked about marriage, and it was like counseling beforehand.
Right.
So we were able to avoid some pitfalls and have some recognition in what we were about to embark on. I think young people that have some direction, they can get married, it can be successful, it can really work if they have some guidance. Because if we didn't go through that rites of passage, I think we wouldn't have been as mature as we were at the time. My parents got married when they were 18, and they're still married.
And you know what's odd though, from what I know personally, your parents have known each other for most of their life.
Right, they were best friends.
And you knew your first husband for a while too. Families knew each other.
The families knew each other, true. I knew him for a year before we actually got married.
You knew who he was though.
I knew who he was.
Right.
Yes,
I mean, don't get a twist. I would never want to marry somebody I grew up with. Like,
that could be difficult, because you're looking at this is brother such and such.
Exactly. But I mean, even with your sister, I've known her since I was 14. We wasn't the tightest, but we knew each other.
But see, that's the beauty of it. You got to really be friends.
Right.
And then, who knew that it would blossom into something else?
And that's why I'm all for arranged marriages.
All right, I'm not going to argue with you, McCreed.
And you know what else, though? I say that because let's look at the marriage dating rate in this time period. It's not good. It's fucked up.
Like, what, dating is not good?
Dating, I mean, people is getting married and just falling out, or they go together, might pop a baby, and you know what I'm saying? It just falls off. Now, I know your situation wasn't like that. I'm assuming that you and the old boy will still be married. You know what I'm saying? But I'm saying, like, in the sense of just the average, man, most people don't stay together.
I know, I see it. I mean, I've been on both sides of that. I've gotten into a serious relationship and then got some perspective on it and
had to step back.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. That comes from not being organized.
And that was the whole thing. My parents weren't involved. I was so far away from home that I didn't have my family to support me.
To give you perspective also
on
things you couldn't see. But we look at powerful families and they go through arranged marriages.
They do. They do.
You look at even the families of antiquity that stayed in power. Arranged marriages.
On some level, yeah.
Now you look at niggas and poor motherfuckers, you have
anything goes.
Thrilled marriages, right.
Let's just live together forever.
Right. Dr. Amos Wilson said this is a new phenomenon. People getting married for romance. This is some shit that the poets out of Europe came up with.
Yeah, romance.
Yeah, Roman
it's
antics.
Like, we're going to get married because we're in love.
Right.
Yeah, that element has to be there too. It has to make sense holistically. Like, it has to make sense. It can't just be, ooh, I love you, you're beautiful, I want to spend the rest of my life with you because I love you. It's like, okay, what is the love? What is this? I hear you.
Because it's excitement. And all excitements come and go.
It's fleeting. It's fleeting. Right.
So Creed is for arranged marriages.
I have a question for Creed. how important is the spiritual